Let's talk about tariffs. Specifically, the new 50% ones the Trump administration just slapped on Canadian steel and aluminum. These tariffs are making headlines and sending shockwaves through both industries and international relations. On June 4, 2025, the White House doubled down, raising tariffs to a staggering 50%, targeting Canada, our top supplier. This move is one of the most aggressive trade actions in recent memory, and it's already sparking fierce debate. The official reason? National security. The administration claims America must make its own steel and aluminum for military strength, arguing that relying on imports could leave the country vulnerable in a crisis. The American Iron and Steel Institute cheered, but this secure the homeland narrative ignores reality. Canada is a close ally, not a threat. Many experts say the justification is more about politics than real security. We share deep military ties and an integrated economy. Our supply chains are so intertwined that disruption hurts both sides of the border. Calling Canadian aluminum a security risk is a stretch. In fact, many in the business community see it as a political maneuver rather than a genuine threat assessment. This isn't the first time. Tariffs were tried in 2018, then lifted. Now they're back, bigger than ever, and the stakes are even higher for both countries. The new 50% rate applies almost universally, leaving Canada out in the cold while others scramble for exemptions. Canadian exporters are already feeling the pinch, and uncertainty is spreading. This move forces a high-stakes game of chicken, betting that others will cave before the US feels the pain. It's a risky strategy with unpredictable consequences. But the risk? The policy could backfire, straining alliances and hurting American industries. Retaliation from Canada and other partners could make things worse. It's a dramatic move with questionable benefits, and the fallout is just beginning. The economic and political costs could be far-reaching. The question, who really wins from this economic bombshell? Only time will tell if this gamble pays off, or if it leaves everyone worse off in the end. So, how does a tariff work? It's a tax. When a Canadian company ships steel or aluminum to the US, the American buyer pays 50% more. That cost isn't paid by Canada, it's paid by US businesses who then pass it down the line. Prices for steel and aluminum were already rising before this. Now they're spiking. Manufacturing budgets are thrown into chaos, projects delayed, and investments reconsidered. It's not just big industries. Small shops and construction companies are squeezed too. Domestic producers can't fill every need, and with less competition, they raise prices as well. The US consumes more metal than it makes, so tariffs don't create new supply overnight. Instead, we get shortages and price shocks. By restricting imports, the government drives up costs for everyone. American companies pay a premium, not for better products, but because of a policy meant to protect a small segment of the economy. The result? Higher costs ripple through every industry. Let's bring this home. Tariffs hit your wallet, starting at the car dealership. Automakers warn that tariffs will raise car prices, and even a few $100s extra per vehicle adds up fast. This means that the dream of owning a new car becomes more expensive for many families. But it's not just cars. Everyday items are affected too. Canned goods rely on imported tin-plated steel, 80% of which comes from abroad. A 50% tariff means every can of soup, tuna, or veggies costs more, and that cost lands on you. This adds up quickly, especially for families on a budget. Construction projects, skyscrapers, bridges, even home additions, suddenly face soaring steel costs, leading to delays, canceled bids, and higher rents. Oxford Economics predicts a drop in business spending and construction jobs. This means fewer opportunities and more economic uncertainty. Everyday items, fridges, washing machines, air conditioners, even beer kegs are all more expensive to make. Companies must either eat the cost or pass it on, and most will raise prices. This affects the bottom line for both businesses and consumers. So while tariffs target raw metals, the final bill is paid by American consumers in thousands of small, painful ways. It's a hidden tax on nearly everything you buy. The impact is everywhere, from your grocery bill to your rent. Tariffs don't just hit industries, they hit every American household. And the pain is only beginning. As these costs continue to rise, the financial strain on families will only grow. The promise of tariffs is to protect American manufacturing jobs, but the reality is far harsher. While the idea sounds simple, tax foreign metals, boost local industry, The consequences ripple far beyond the steel mills. Millions work in industries that use steel and aluminum compared to a few 100,000 in metal production. These workers build our cars, appliances, and infrastructure, forming the backbone of American manufacturing. Making metal more expensive helps a few, but hurts the many. Higher costs ripple through the supply chain, squeezing businesses and threatening jobs in every corner of the country. In 2018, for every steel job created, about 75 jobs were lost elsewhere. The numbers are stark, and the impact is felt in communities large and small. Larry Summers warns this new policy will destroy more jobs than it saves. Economists across the spectrum agree. The math just doesn't add up for most American workers. Most aluminum jobs are in finishing, not smelting, and those finishing mills rely on Canadian raw material. Disrupting this supply chain puts thousands of livelihoods at risk. Tariffs raise their costs, threatening the very jobs they claim to protect. Instead of security, workers face uncertainty and fear for their future. The CEO of Alcoa warned that even a 25% tariff could cost 100,000 jobs. At 50%, the damage is worse. The stakes are high for entire communities. While a few steel mills may benefit, car factories, appliance plants, and construction crews across the country lose out. The pain is widespread, touching industries that reach into every American home. The policy creates a handful of winners and a sea of losers. For every smiling steelworker, dozens more face layoffs or shrinking paychecks. It's a political move that sacrifices the broader economy for a narrow interest. The debate may be loud, but the facts are clear. For most American workers, tariffs are a bad deal. The promise of protection is overshadowed by the reality of lost jobs and economic pain. The cost is real, and the jobs at risk are everywhere. From small towns to big cities, the impact of tariffs is a tough pill for American workers to swallow. Canada isn't taking this quietly, they're preparing to hit back. If talks fail, Canada will slap its own 50% tariffs on U.S. goods, escalating the conflict. In past disputes, Canada targeted politically sensitive products, bourbon, cheese, orange juice, to maximize pressure. The goal: make American voters and businesses feel the pain, forcing a policy reversal. This retaliation would hurt American farmers, distillers, and manufacturers who rely on Canadian buyers. A 50% tariff makes U.S. products too expensive, and Canadian consumers will look elsewhere. American exporters could lose business overnight, creating new victims far from the steel industry. Trade wars are hard to stop. Each move invites another, and both economies suffer. The initial tariff, meant to protect one industry, ends up harming many others. In the end, everyone loses in a trade war. Zooming out, the economic outlook is grim. The Congressional Budget Office warns these tariffs will shrink U.S. economic output, making the country poorer. Tariffs act as a tax on ourselves, slowing growth and raising costs. Financial markets reacted with worry, the dollar fell, and investors grew nervous. Trade wars create uncertainty, scaring off investment and disrupting global trade. Any short-term government revenue is offset by higher prices for consumers and businesses. The policy also complicates global negotiations, making the U.S. look hostile to allies. Instead of uniting against unfair practices, we're fighting our friends and isolating ourselves. Protectionism shrinks the economic pie, stifles innovation, and reduces choices. Short-term gains for a few are outweighed by long-term losses for all. The tariffs were meant to make America stronger, but the evidence points to slower growth, higher inflation, and a weaker global position. The cost of protectionism is paid by everyone. So, who actually pays? Not foreign governments, American companies do. Ford, Campbell's, construction firms, they're the ones writing checks to the U.S. government. Those costs get passed straight to you: higher car prices, pricier groceries, rising rents. Tariffs are a hidden tax, hitting lower and middle-income families hardest. American workers pay too, especially those in industries hurt by higher costs or Canadian retaliation. The entire economy pays through slower growth and damaged relationships. Tariffs punish our allies and burden our own citizens. In the end, it's Americans footing the bill. Looking ahead, the future is uncertain and risky. The U.S. could hold firm, daring Canada to retaliate, risking a full-blown trade war. Or economic pain could force a rethink, with business leaders and politicians pressuring for compromise. Negotiations might lead to lower tariffs or exemptions, offering a way out before lasting damage is done. A 90-day deadline looms. Trading partners have until July 8th to make their case. The outcome depends on whether the US is open to real compromise or just using threats as leverage. The stakes are high. Our relationship with Canada, the future of American manufacturing, and the financial well-being of millions hang in the balance. A cooperative path could restore stability. A protectionist path could cement long-term harm. The coming weeks will be crucial. Businesses, workers, and consumers are all waiting to see which road America takes. The choice is between isolation and collaboration. The world is watching, and so are American wallets.